Good morning, everyone. Pete Pardo here from Sea of Tranquility. Welcome to another edition of Ranking the Albums. Today we're going to look at the just the 4 studio albums from a pretty cool band from the late 60s, early 70s who were firmly entrenched in the whole British psychedelic rock movement. Of course, we're talking about The Move, the band that kind of preceded what would later become ELO, right? So The Move burst on the scene, like 1967, 68, right thereabouts. Their first album, The Move, came out in 1968, more as like a psychedelic pop album and band. But then they quickly start to move into really cool, hard rock sounds and classical inspired rock and roll, and obviously a big influence of the Beatles. You got some notable guys in this band, of course. You got Roy Wood, multi-instrumentalist and vocalist. You got Jeff Lynne, multi-instrumentalist and vocalist. You got the thunderous drums of Bev Bevan, a couple other guys in the band as well. So pretty cool band. So we're going to take a look at their 4 studio albums, and to the gentleman who seems to think that, you can't do a ranking the albums episode with any band that has less than 8 albums because you only get to be a mature band when you release 8 or more albums. I call that nonsense. I think you can do a ranking the albums of any band that's got, more than 2 albums, right? Or, it's, who cares how long they've been together? It's like, who cares how many albums they have, right? You can rank whoever you want. It's just a excuse to talk about a band and their albums, which is a cool thing no matter how many albums they have, right? So anyway, let's get started. So the first one I'm going to cover here today is one that I do not have a physical copy of, but I have ordered it, so it's on the way. Message from the Country from 1971, so that's their final album. So they were actually recording this, the band was actually recording this album right around the same time that the same 3 guys, so you got Roy Wood, Jeff Lynne, and Bev Bevan are putting together that very first ELO album. Plenty of similarities in both of these albums, all right? So basically you got, Roy and Jeff kind of running the show at this point. So the title track, Message from the Country, is a cool, soaring piece of classical rock. Dare I say even call it kind of symphonic rock, sort of, right? But more like kind of, got those kind of string sounds, right? And just very kind of, it's got a little bit of bombast to it. Very, very cool stuff. Great, memorable Jeff Lynne vocals. You got a song called Ella James, which is a good, crisp rock and roll tune. You got Until Your Mama's Gone. It's just kind of like old-fashioned rock and roll. They did a little bit of this in The Move from time to time. It Wasn't My Idea to Dance. It's kind of a cool tune. That's a weird mix of, it's kind of like quirky prog and a little bit of like glam rock. Because, of course, we're talking 1971, so glam rock's starting to come into fashion. You got a song called The Minister, which is total Beatle-inspired love, right? It's just got the latter period Beatles written all over it. And then you got the Words of Aaron, which is a pretty cool, very ELO-ish Electric Light Orchestra. Should call them Electric Light Orchestra at this point because there really was no ELO yet. It was Electric Light Orchestra, which was what they were going with early on, instead of the kind of shortened name. But Words of Aaron very, very much has that kind of art rock feel with lots of classical overtones, kind of like what we would see on those first couple ELO albums, actually. So Message from the Country, I should say. Coming in at number 4 from 1971. So coming in at number 3, we're going to go with their self-titled debut from 1968, just titled The Move. Pretty fun stuff. So as you can see, this is very, they're a little homage almost to kind of Sgt. Pepper with all these different faces on the back. Good raucous party psychedelic pop throughout this album. You got Yellow Rainbow, kickoff track, really catchy song. Some absolutely thunderous drumming from Bev Bevan, who very underrated drummer. I always loved his playing. You got, it's got the big drums and jangly guitars from Roy Wood and Trevor Burton. You got these big fat bass grooves from Ace Kefford, so you got a different lineup around this time, right? You got Carl Wayne on vocals, who was on the first 2 albums. What else we got here? You got the kind of silly but actually fun song, Here We Go Round the Lemon Tree. All right, this is totally indicative of this time, but it's actually a very fun album, very fun song. Walk Upon the Water, you got their kind of a little bit of a hit single, Flowers in the Rain. Another fun song, and then you got that kind of quirky and very British sounding, and especially this first album, really British sounding. Fire Brigade, okay, which has a really cool vocal from Carl Wayne, and just a really fun, kind of quirky, like I said, very British sounding song. You got little bits of the Beatles and the Kinks and maybe the Pretty Things, and just very, very psychedelic, very fun. The band not yet going into their heavier waters or their more kind of classical inspired stuff, but just a cool debut, really fun album. So that's coming in at number 3. Coming in at number 2. We're going to go with their 1970 album, Shazam. All right, so there are the guys in the band right there. Okay. By this point in time, the band are getting into some serious rock and roll here. So this is much more of a rock record than the debut, but, still has plenty of those psychedelic elements. Got much longer songs on here. You got Hello Susie, rocks really hard. Pretty heavy songs, got a snarling Roy Wood vocal, so here we got Roy singing a lot of the songs on this album. You got Beautiful Daughter, has some of those kind of Beatles elements as well as like some strings and things, so you start to hear some stuff that would appear on later albums. Okay. You got Carl Wayne on vocals here still. On this particular track, you got Cherry Blossom Clinic Revisited, which is a kind of a reworking and much longer version of the song Cherry Blossom Clinic from the first album. Brilliant slice of psychedelic rock with a killer chorus, lots of guitars, and like I said, it's longer than the original version. Very, very cool. You got Fields of People. It's nearly 11 minutes of kind of interesting psychedelic folk rock, right? Lots of great acoustic guitars, a lot of good playing on that. Percussion, layers of backing vocals, very, very cool tune. You got Take My Baby Blue is big, kind of lumbering proto-metal with some huge guitars and wah-wah solos from Roy Wood. Big, fat, crashing drums from Bevan. Just a really, really cool song and pretty heavy. Some pretty heavy stuff on this album. And then you got The Last Thing on My Mind is a real bass-driven, moody rocker, and it's actually a cover of a Tom Paxton folk classic. It's got little folk bits to it, but it's a little more kind of moodier and bluesier, so to speak. But really cool album. Really cool album. Like I said, you can definitely see the band kind of changing their sound and going in different directions here. And then looking on, their 1970 album is my number 1. So here we've got Jeff Lynne firmly in the band here for the first time. So you got Carl Wayne is gone. Jeff takes his place. Jeff is playing all sorts of stuff. He's singing a couple tunes. He's playing guitar. He's playing piano, little bits of drums and percussion. Kind of like the seeds of what would become the Electric Light Orchestra starting to really be planted on this album. But though it's a pretty heavy album. Okay, you got Looking On, the title track, crushing heavy blues rock with some really killer riffs and a really aggressive Roy Wood vocal. Another really heavy track. Like I said, in the last couple albums, I got some pretty heavy stuff going on here. You got Turkish Tramp Conductor Blues, also kind of, meanders along with some big, huge bluesy riffs. Then you got this tune, What?, which features the first Jeff Lynne vocal on a Move album, and again hints at that kind of Beatles meets classical rock style that we would hear on those, especially those early Electric Light Orchestra albums. Great track, really cool track. Then you got When Alice Comes Back to the Farm is kind of big and raucous boogie rock. Open Up Said the World at the Door. Open Up Said the World at the Door. I love these real long titles, right? Has some kind of weird like jazz and blues elements to it. It's got, you got Jeff Lynne playing a little piano and some oboe. Again, reminds you of some of the more experimental Beatles stuff that they did later in their career. Very avant-garde sounding and certainly a little bits of prog rock. All right. What else we got here? Brontosaurus. More of that early proto-metal stuff, right? Big, heavy, fuzz-laden riffing. In fact, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Cheap Trick covered that song later on. The Closer, Feels Too Good. It's got a mix of like kind of old-style rock as well as some boogie. It's about 10 minutes long. Some heavy guitars, great Roy Wood vocals. Got a slide guitar solo from Jeff Lynne. Rocks pretty hard, good closer to the album. So I dig this album a lot. This is... like I said, good mix of heavy rock and some kind of early prog, psychedelic, classical rock type of thing. Pretty interesting stuff. There's the guys in the band. There's Jeff. There's Roy with all the hair, right? Pretty cool stuff. So there you have it. So we're going to go Looking On, coming in at number 1. Shazam, coming in at number 2. The Move, coming in number 3. And Message from the Country, coming in number 4. So curious to see what you guys think of the catalog of The Move. Rank their 4 albums in the order you like them. Remember, there's no right or wrong answer here. We all hear these albums differently, and we all appreciate them in different ways. So visit us on the web at www.seatranquility.org. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. Of course, we're here on YouTube all the damn time. If you like what you see, please click on the link below in the video description for our Ko-Fi page, where you can make a donation however much you like. We greatly appreciate it. There's also a link to our merchandise page where you can order t-shirts, hoodies, caps, hats, coffee mugs, stickers, all sorts of cool stuff, as well as a link to our website. So check it all out. We graciously appreciate all your views, all your time, all your contributions, and we'll see you guys later on. There's lots of stuff coming today. John Petrucci coming on the show. Carmine Apiece coming back on the show. We've got ranking the albums of Anglagard. We've got top 10 songs of Loudness, all sorts of stuff. Martin Popoff back on the show. Busy day here at Sea of Tranquility, so you don't want to miss any of it. Take care. Bye-bye.